Got minutes to go through. The three of us have reviewed the minutes for April 13, and would you, I move to accept them without change. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And the next application we have is 0 North Mountain Drive. I'm not sure whether you want to speak first or you want me to speak first.
I'll defer to your preference, Mr. Chairman. Just going to do a brief introduction, but.
Well, we got a, why don't I go first? We got a referral from, back from the planning board yesterday, late yesterday. And as we were reading it, it probably would not read to your satisfaction. It says, now therefore be it resolved, the planning board recommends that based on the plan presented to the planning board, the applicant should continue their proceedings before the zoning board of appeals for its proposed variances. Now that, I'm sure you'd like to hear that, but that's not what we asked them. We asked them for, to show us that this is an approvable project. And not only don't we have that, Mr. Steinschneider, if you remember, we had a similar application at Hilldale and Briery. Not me. No, not you. But it was a similar application where we were handling a variance and also handling some of what the planning board did. Typically does, because it was more straightforward and within our capability to do so, whereas 0 North Mountain is not. But all throughout that series of meetings, we held open meetings for the public so that the public could be participating, asking questions, having their issues addressed either by the board or the applicant. We're not in that situation here. And because this is an important variance, as that was, we think it's important that the public be heard. And since the venue for that would not be here, it would be at the planning board, because those issues will be decided there. And so,
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I'm not surprised by the referral back.
Mr.
Go ahead.
Valerie?
Go ahead, Valerie.
It got frozen.
She's frozen.
Oh.
Well, I'll just say.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to, I worked with the plan.
Yeah, you're freezing up, Valerie.
Oh, can you hear?
Keeps going in and out, Valerie.
Yeah, we get 2 words and that's it.
Yeah, maybe turn off your video.
Oh, what about now?
Better.
Yep.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to explain to the board that, we were working with the planning board, and the planning board, while they believe that this site is potentially developable for single family home, there is one. So before they had the applicant spend the money in order to do additional work and then work out the stormwater and a number of other items on the site, they wanted the zoning board of appeals to consider the variances.
But we're not going to do that. We can't, we're not going to approve something where a house can't be built.
And
You're asking to put the cart
that's fine.
before the horse.
Everything is completely up to you. I'm just passing along, the decision of the planning board and why the planning board decided to move the project back to your board.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, just to give you a little.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So quickly, I'm Kristen Wilson.
Yes, thank
I
you,
represent
thank you.
the property owner, along with me is Patty Steinschneider. For 3 meetings, I believe, we were at the planning board, and they did receive your list of questions. They asked for, and they did receive, a number of reports from Patty Steinschneider and a team of consultants dealing with stormwater retention, erosion and sediment control, the height and location of retaining walls, percolation tests, site distances, other calculations to ensure that, or to verify, really, that a single-family home could be built on this lot and also preserve the sensitive steep slopes. So we went to quite some detail. They're not full site plans, but they are pretty detailed site plans to give the planning board a sense that, yes, this is a viable lot. But before we actually start putting, removing rock or anything of that, or putting the plans in such detail, we need to first determination from this board that it's a buildable lot and/or receive a variance. So those questions that you posed to the planning board, they were carefully considered, vetted, and we provided what the planning board believes is sufficient information to satisfy their concerns that the environmental issues and concerns can be addressed either through mitigation or alternative construction methods or the like. So they're, in my words, not theirs and not their attorney's words, but they are kind of at the limits of their jurisdiction until they know they have a buildable lot. So that's what, from a zoning standpoint, right. So they can't set it, they don't feel comfortable going to a public hearing until they know that we can even move forward with a buildable lot. So a lot of the questions you raised were addressed and vetted by the planning board over the last 3 months. Yeah, I would say all of them.
I think what we have is a communication problem, because if that's the case, we did ask those questions, and the planning board didn't communicate an answer to us. So, we're sort of being asked to treat it as if we got the response because you're telling us they responded at a meeting. But I think they need to communicate to us specific answers to the specific questions.
So if you'd like, we can bring it back to the planning board for them to have specific responses to each and every question. I think
I don't think we need each and every question answered so much as we need them to tell us that this is an approvable project.
I think,
Well, no, they do that when they vote.
well, they can't, it's hard, they can't, legally, I would say that they can't vote because they don't have
Right.
jurisdiction to hear an application that hasn't been determined to be a buildable lot from a zoning perspective yet. So before we can get a vote from them, we had one hurdle to pass by your referral to them, asking them to look at these things. They looked at them. They went back and forth a little bit about the wording of the resolution, and I don't want to put words in their mouth, but last week they essentially said, okay, let it go forward, and Valerie and the board went back and forth, and a sentence or two were agreed upon. That was the first hurdle. The second hurdle now is to pass here and either have a variance granted or considered a buildable lot back from 1989. And then we'll have to go back to the planning board for full-blown site plan review and more detailed drawings. We went into quite a bit of detail. They had a lot of questions, but we provided answers to them to their satisfaction so that they felt we had enough information to come back to you.
Right. Do you have the plans that the resolution was based upon?
Yes.
Did the building department send those to you, Mr. Chairman?
No, we have not been in the loop on this.
We submitted those, we were asked to pick them up and bring them back, because until the planning board took the action they took last Thursday, which was, of course, after your deadline, it was perceived as premature.
I'm sorry, Patty.
I have to share screen. Oh. text up at the top. Can you close it?
Yeah, you hit something on the keyboard when you put your thing on
No,
top of
yeah.
it.
No, I won't. I was going to send it around. I can never edit stuff myself. I'm dyslexic and I don't know what's under me.
I mean, just for the standpoint that you can understand where things have gotten, it might be helpful if I actually showed you what we showed them and what we submitted.
Well,
Quick, not going into detail, but just so you'd be aware of the stuff. It's not like a sketch or something. We've got Hudson Engineering completed their stormwater. They did test pits. They went down 8 feet. They determined that we have perk of 14 inches in an hour, which is excellent perk, so no problem with the storm drainage on site.
I think Anthony wanted some more information with that too.
Because of the 15% slope. And he said either we would have, but yeah, but no.
but Patty, come on.
No, that's, excuse me, I'm not being disrespectful. That's an engineering detail. If Anthony was here, he would say it's a matter of details between the engineers. It's not whether you can build or not. It's which way should it be galleys or should it be Cultex? Cultex are not recommended on a slope. We don't need to build it on a slope. We can build it level, but he might prefer galleys. And if he does, we'll build galleys. Either one of those is a good solution that handles 100% of the stormwater runoff. So that's all been dealt with the engineer, who has submitted his things, which have been reviewed by the village. Sorry about that. The village's consulting engineer.
Sorry, we can't hear you. Can you hear Valerie? Seems like the board room is offline. AV folks, can you hear us?
Something happened.
I've always had it be something that's a little, it's a little different, but it seems to work. And as long as I remember which village I'm in, it seems to work okay.
Just write it on your.
So is that,
I'm comfortable with it. I would like Valerie with us. I would want to make sure.
See if she comes.
Valerie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, Kristen, why don't you go over to the mic?
Yeah, just so you see, we identified these concerns, which were these three: stormwater, vehicular safety, rock removal, and size of the house, site stability, and landscape. Which I think summarizes the 6 things that you guys had in your letter.
Yeah, I think that covers it.
So Valerie, the question we were just bouncing back and forth is Chairman Hoffman and probably, maybe he's speaking for every member on the board, but they would like us to essentially receive site plan approval on the condition that variance is granted, but that the zoning board hold off on any type of furthering the public hearing or review process itself until the site plan has been fully approved by the planning board.
Okay.
You're comfortable with that process?
Yes, we can do that.
To take on the issue of the variance after site plan approval.
Okay.
With particular emphasis on the public hearing being,
Yes.
Okay. So do you have any questions since we're here that we could answer? No? Okay.
I have one question. Minnesota or
Oh, come on.
I think the Giants are good.
I sure hope so, and I'm going to miss the game.
That's not right.
I know.
Okay, so does that conclude us for this evening?
Yes. And so we're,
I'll move to adjourn for,
But continue the public hearing, right?
yes.
yeah.
So he moved, was it seconded?
Yeah, actually, we're not
Oh.
adjourning, we're continuing.
Yeah.
You're right. To continue the hearing.
So thank you for your, thank you for your patience.
It was wishful thinking.
If you need to keep it public hearing. There are little letters on the report. So that one I just want to.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is 164 Palisade Street. And this is for a number of different variances, many of which are pre-existing. And who will be heard on this application?
Pete Gulick from Mike Lewis Architects.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch you.
Pete Gulick from Mike Lewis Architects. We just set this up here. Might have to put it on. It's on the lower. It wasn't, I'm not sure.
Good night.
Right.
Thanks. Jeez, I think we can push this forward.
Actually, while they're doing that, Peter, you want to read tell people what the application is?
Yeah. Yeah, and these are for the following variances. Regarding 164 Palisade Street, the required front yard setback is 15 feet. The proposed setback, front yard setback is 1.5 inches, therefore requiring a 13-foot, 7-inch variance for the front yard. Regarding 164 Palisades, the side yard requirement is 10 feet. The proposed addition setback is 5 feet, 2 inches, thus requiring a variance of 4 feet, 10 inches at the side yard. The required combined setback is 20 feet, and the combined setback is 15 feet, 2 inches. requiring a variance of 4 feet 10 inches. This is a corner lot, so with regard to 87 Cedar Street, the required rear yard setback is 25 feet, and the proposed is 5 feet 10 inches, requiring a variance of 19 feet 2 inches on the rear yard. Again, 87 Cedar, the required side yard is 10, and the proposed is 2 feet 4 inches, requiring a variance of 7 feet 8 inches, and the maximum lot coverage is 40%, and the proposed is 41.8, and that requires a variance of 1.8%.
Sure.
All right, like I said, we're here to present 164 Palisade Street for our client, Michael Lang, and 164 Palisade Street LLC. Down location is right around the corner down here, Cedar Street and Palisade. Just take a look at some of the photos. Building was built in 1883. Consists of 2 buildings, 164 Palisade and 87 Sterling. 164 has 2 dwelling units, 87 has 1 dwelling unit, and we're proposing a 4th dwelling unit in the lower level of 164 Palisade Street. And also an addition on the other side of Palisade Street, or Palisade. Down the way between Cedar, coming down around the corner of Palisade Street. This was a former driveway blocked off by the red work with the town. Around the corner, Palisade. Again, that was a former garage, the basement level, that was blocked off by the ramps. I don't think girls. From the other side. One of the things that's difficult about this is this large wedge that's filled up on this house at the side street. So one of the things we're doing is opening this up to the back. We'll look at it in drawings. Down further on Palisade Street. So first thing we did was Michael asked us to restore this, and try to restore some of the character that the building had at one point. So the first thing we did was down to that library and see if they had any materials. And they had nothing in the library for us. So they did send us up to the Historical Society. The Historical Society, Madeline did some research there, we still didn't find it. So we went next to, just look at Palisade Street and the Palisade Street back. So we looked at those when we were designing everything and incorporated those. So, some more photos, and larger site photos here. You can kind of see better at aerial shots. One of the other things is that this smaller addition is, I mean, the building is right up on the street. It's
Right.
on the side, literally.
Right.
And this piece is only about 10 inches back. So what we're proposing is adding on to this side and basically taking this down and this piece down and just adding only about 8 feet onto the end of the building. Site plans, here where the addition is. And we're adding a little bit onto this bump out here for a stair tower that goes up to the upper levels.
On that addition that you just pointed to, that's set back a little bit from the street?
Yeah,
Is-
setback, not, the
Is that
setback-
at about the line of the building that's being built next door?
It's very close to it. 156, I believe, has a 10-foot setback from the principal
Yes.
building. And this, the secondary setback is 9'1".
Okay.
Is the height of the addition the same as, are you adding any height to
No,
the?
we're not, we'll see that in the elevation, not adding to the height. That's why we're kind of pushing back, and, that line goes up with the street, which goes pretty steep up there. So.
Yes.
this is the sub-cellar plans. These are just reference elevations, just so we know we're looking down at that lower level at a different scale. The sub-cellar, we're not going to use the sub-cellar. We just have some oil tanks in it. We're going to take those out and just use it for storage. So we're not really doing that on that level. But on the basement level is where we're really doing a lot of work. The basement level, you can see, is really the street level down here in Palisade. So currently, there's a large wall, it's a retaining wall on top of a nice stone wall on Palisade Street. So what we're proposing to do is one of these transition buffer zones talked about in the Palisade Street guidelines, pushing the entry back so you get this buffer. You can walk up now, up into Palisade, into this lower proposed port dwelling unit. And then also you can walk back around and up through the site, which you can't do now. So that opens it up pretty nicely on Palisade Street. Currently, this is just where there was a former garage there. This is just unused space. So we're really just pushing back over here. That's the extent of the proposed addition. Moving up to the first level floor plans. And we're removing this. There's a porch here that's not in great shape, and this kind of has an alley-like feel. So what we're doing is removing the porch and opening that up, connecting the two with just a trellis that goes between them. And you had the entry to the 1 unit, 2 unit, a 3rd unit that goes upstairs. And that's the 3 entries on that level, that middle space we're creating. As well as kind of restoring a nice yard here. It's a great flat piece in the back there, but it's not in great shape. But it's nice that it's flat. That's the first. On the second floor, come up the stairs to this second floor unit here, 164 Palisade. And that's the first floor of a second, it's a 2-floor unit. So that's the 2 bedrooms, 1 bedroom here, another bedroom. Not doing much work on 87, just a dormer on the top and onto the 3rd floor. We're just bumping out the dormer here. You can see how far it's pushed back. That's really that height on the second half floor. And the second half floor is also pushed back 5 feet from the second level, which they require in the Palisade Street guidelines. See that in the elevation. And then the next plan is just the roof level. Again, we're just adding that piece over the dormer, shed dormer over here, and a dormer on the front as well. Proposing to replace this with a smaller unit. This dormer and bay window comes out really far onto the street, about 3.5 feet. You walk by the sidewalk, just touch it with your hand. And it leans heavy over the top too. And this smaller bay window, just a little more friendly to the street. Onto the elevations. This is the existing on the top and closed on the bottom. Photos on here to see. It's nice in the drawing, but photograph, see that hasn't been time hasn't been kind to do it. It's got aluminum siding on it, yellow aluminum siding. So we're proposing some nicer traditional siding on it with a color here. And then also, this alley-like feel, we're taking the porch down, opening that up, connecting it to the nice trellis. From the street, it's really nice. And also, you can walk through the backyard into a nicer space. Like I said, we're not really doing anything height-wise to bring that up. The only height we're changing is 2 of the variances. The height variance where just wanted to match the slope of the pitch of this gable with this one. This is a little shallower. So 2 variances are just due to the height on this. And the 3rd variance is due to the height here too, but just as side yard setback. Is that correct, Kevin?
That is the rear yard
The rear yard
setback over there, because you picked the front on Palisade. It's a funny lot with the 2
It is.
houses on it.
So that's the Cedar Street elevation. And the next elevation is Palisade Street elevation. So again, the existing, with this large wall here, and what we're doing is taking that wall, bringing that level down, putting it open here, so that you can come up off the street into this part dwelling unit, as well as go up around the side of the building, through the back, so you can come around both ways.
Now, how far down is that wall going?
Which one?
The wall,
This?
the one that's existing. You said you were taking that down some.
Yeah. That wall is about, we're taking about this distance out of that wall. Well, that's 8 feet of the wall.
Oh, okay.
And we have to come, one of the reasons that we have to push this out further is because railings and ramp, and we're right up to about this point. I had to push this entry. Now, we would like to have it further up closer, but we have to push it down because
The railings on the sidewalk there. Gotcha.
So that's the front elevation. The other thing up here is, again, it's just a vertical wall here. One of the Palisade guidelines talks about second story pushing back. So one thing we did was we pushed back, we recessed this third floor so that you get a balcony in there, which kind of opened, just stops that mass from feeling like it's so big. Also, this great, view. I mean, the small windows looking out onto the river.
Yeah.
It's way
It's great.
closer than worse. Trying to take advantage of that here. Then onto the side elevation, the south elevation. This here with the porch, so we move that. Pergola, which continues and wraps around 87th Street. A small dormer here on 87th Street. And then a larger dormer and the addition here on 164 Palisade. So you see here, where we come in from Palisade, this is that former large wall, but now you can come right up and into that 164 fourth dwelling unit entry, as well as come up around the side of the building and then up. I can see.
Right.
That's the side. And again, this is against the building, but against the side yard. This is the line of the side yard, which is not Steve's building. And then the rear elevations in front of the in between in the alleyway looking there. And then the photos were, really, there's where the house is now. We're really adding, it's a little less than 9 feet onto where it was initially. Then looking back again, if you were in the alleyway, looking back, we raised that roof just a little to match the conditions. On 87 to 160.
I'm not sure whether it's a question for Dan or for you, sir. The character guidelines for Palisade Street, what all do they encompass? Is that mainly lot coverage?
No.
I remember that as being an issue, but I never heard how those things were resolved.
There's a few things. One of them is this public to private transition, where all those houses, so many of those houses are right up on the street. And they talk about these entries on the transition sort of from the street into the dwelling units. That's what we're trying to do here, as well as on the other side in between those two. So that's one of them. They don't want a huge frontage, so not 40-foot wide frontages, so that's why that's back. There's, they talk about horizontality, so we try to accentuate sort of the horizontal lines. They're already there.
Most of their variances are for altering a non-conforming or extending it a little bit.
Right,
The only one, the coverage is just the one that's
right, and that, as I recall, was kind of an arbitrary
very,
number
yes,
that they picked as an approximation.
correct.
No, and actually, this is probably a question for Dan, too. There's not a parking issue?
They are adding a unit. They don't have parking now, so the 3 units that are there, they don't have to add any more parking. With that additional unit, they will have to add parking or pay the pile-up fee.
Okay.
And then if we're across the street, 99 Main Street lot, would that make a difference in terms of parking at the lot?
I don't think so. It's a municipal lot, and who knows if they ever,
This is still Dobbs Ferry, okay?
if they ever did something with the lot or anything, then it wouldn't be the parking. So I don't know if they'd consider that. That would be planning.
Yeah, and actually with those railings, the property's lost some parking.
Yeah. But I think they originally had intended on the driveway side to here to meet a driveway width, but in the initial engineer drawings in town, it shows that, but they kind of came down several feet into that space, so you can't get from.
That's probably a good thing. I mean, it's allowed you to do something nice.
And Cedar's very tight too, the parking, you turn that corner from Palisade, turn that corner there out. Very tight.
Yep.
Much nicer as a pedestrian walkway and product.
Public?
Is there anyone from the Zoom land or here that would like to be heard? No. Okay, I just had really one question. The number 4 on the 87 Cedar Street, this variance looks very large, and that's because it's rear yard for 87.
Yeah, because it's accepted, I even asked Dan about that, it's the height, and when we raised the height of 87 Cedar roof, that triggered those 2 setbacks, or 2 rear yard setbacks?
They pick, because it's a corner lot, they could pick their frontage. So they pick their frontage as Palisade Street.
Right.
So that's why that one looks so large,
Okay, right, because
because they're doing.
the
work
property
with
that's
that.
available is quite substantial.
Right, if they were 2 SBLs and that was
Right.
one lot, that would, right.
And, we're raising less than, not 24 inches that we're raising, so triggered those 2, but it's, it's a substantial
Right.
height or anything like that.
No, especially being on the hill like you are.
I'll move to close the hearing.
No, second?
Second.
Yeah, I move to approve the application and all of the variances. I think this is a nice improvement to, to this particular property. I think it'll actually fit the character and what we'd like the character of that corner to be better than the current structure.
Yeah, agreed, notwithstanding the number of variances that are requested, none of them are significant or
Right.
material. I agree with your.
Yeah, you can't underestimate the importance of a nice structure on a corner, because it's really seen, and it's a very nice, it's a nice project.
From the office, we look out at it, so. No, it's prominent even from the office, Mike, isn't it?
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you.
Good luck.
And our next, I know they're doing some changes in town, what's next on this town with the,
You're going to be going to planning?
you do need to plan?
Yes.
Just wanted to check and make sure.
You're going 10 foot out and 10 foot, well, 10 foot up with the addition.
Is that combined planning HR,
Yes, now they are.
which is one?
One submission with everything. Sarah, if she didn't send you the application, reach out and she'll give you the new application for the joint board.
Okay, move to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks, guys.